Blah 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 royalties and shit.
世界
悲しみのひどいよ自分だけ桂さんと幸せになろうなんて
It's not bad. Kind of feel like it's missing something, though.
Don't you rely on passers-by? They should have looked the other way and let you die. The wolf is at your door. The wolf.
Who would suspect that such a pleasant beginning would come to such an utter demise? Obviously only people that had played the VNs. It's almost like the creators said, fuck it, let's ruin everyone's day. I honestly don't know where to start with this one. I kind of wonder if I made a mistake. My general reaction had been, well, that was dark. Hi everyone, this is your guy WolfManJim, and today I will be reviewing... The anime is 12 episodes in length and is based on the original School Days HQ visual novel. There are also 2 additional manga that approach the story from different angles. My favorite being the Cross Days manga because we get a look at things from the characters Yuki and Roka's perspectives, also because it's the only one that actually has a happy ending. Why couldn't they have made an anime out of that one? School Days is pretty much an anime based in the harem genre, only it's a pretty good look at what could happen if someone decided to screw everyone and their second cousin. And I mean that in the most literal sense. Sakai and Setsuna are actually Makoto's cousins. I know, fucked up, right? If you think Makoto's bad, go to the wiki and read up on his dad. Imagine how he'd react if he actually learned this. It's Deliverance all over again. I've seen the anime listed as a slice of life series, and while I can agree that it starts out that way, it really should not be listed in that category for obvious reasons. It's a psychological suspense tragedy. We have a character with an obvious sexual compulsive disorder and the makings of having an antisocial personality disorder, being that he only thinks about himself and only does things that are socially acceptable so he can create a positive impression so he can get into a girl's pants. Not to mention his aggressive nature. We also have a person whom is avoidant with the makings of borderline personality disorder, considering her obsessive nature and unstable emotional construct. And then a potential manic or possibly manic-depressive personality, which would explain why despite her positive outgoing nature, she skipped school on several occasions to deal with depression, lied about being pregnant to get this guy's attention back on her, and eventually murdered him in a fit of jealous rage. However, I only think these are elements that cause this sort of behavior from these characters. Anyone with unrequited love can do some pretty stupid things, but stabbing someone to death shouldn't be one of them. And these are the 3 main roles of the story. There are various others featured in the anime whom also have a presence in the visual novels. However, the anime focuses mainly on these 3, so let's take a more in-depth look. I was actually rooting for Makoto Ito in the first few episodes. I had my earlier suspicions about the show thanks to various anime vines, but I was going into it with the understanding that it was going to turn into a horror. That Makoto was going to be stalked by one or both of these girls when he had done nothing wrong. Like they were going to try to kill him as some kind of forced suicide pact. I was sorely mistaken. Episode 1 gave me a few glimpses as to just what kind of person Makoto was from the beginning. As I observed him manhandling Sakai, I had this sudden urge to punch him in the throat. Isn't that weird? Because no one should tolerate that kind of behavior. However, I let the thought pass, but began considering whether he was going to turn into that guy, or if he had simply let his emotions get the best of him in that one scenario. At that age, if a girl I was acquainted with told me she had a personal talk about me with the girl of my dreams, I would be ecstatic. It was about episode 4 when I realized that both Makoto and Sakai were rather selfish people. I know in the heat of a moment like that, people can get carried away, and if Makoto and Kotonoha had not been that seriously involved, it should have been easy enough for him to break it off with her. But this is when we get an even clearer idea of just who Makoto is. In all crassness, she was the backup fuck. That one he's waiting on to add to his dream harem. Sakai didn't really have much of an appeal to me. I mean, she was cute and fun, but she was kind of just there. Like, her only purpose was to serve as a catalyst. I mean, she was very involved with the story, and she did have direct involvement with things turning sour, but I don't know, she just didn't do it for me. I guess she was more an example of that nice girl that had just done something wrong and was feeling ashamed. Trying to fix things, only to make more bad decisions, in turn making things worse. I would have liked her more as being a real friend to Kotonoha, but then the show wouldn't have ended in disaster as it did, which was the goal. For Kotonoha, it seems unrealistic that a character like this would exist in real life, however, you'd be surprised. And ones like her that tend to repress their sexuality tend to come up with some creative ways to have fun. She was an example of someone who was as good on the outside as they are on the inside. My only problem with her was that she lacked common sense. Or did she? Kotonoha seemed to ooze nothing but naivety and innocence, and I can argue that to a degree this was true. However, her unhealthy behavior later on in the story was a stifling example that she had a pretty good idea as to what was going on the entire time. No one reacts with the obsessions and compulsions that she displayed if they don't feel, deep down, that something is wrong. However, despite this pseudo-naivety and denial of the truth that made itself more known to her, she still did not display good common sense. But let's be honest here, who in this story really did display good common sense? If I happen to be the dark, obscure, yet handsome delinquent of the school and happen to find myself upon her situation, I would talk with her and exercise in a notion to abandon these people and distance herself from them until it didn't matter if Makoto and Sakai were hit by a train. And then I'd push Sakai and Makoto in front of a train. In the context of it being a tragedy, I really enjoyed how they played it out. Things started a little tough for our main protagonists. Just as Koto and Makoto are testing the waters of their new relationship, Makoto shows that he's not a faithful guy, and things start taking that downhill turn. Very well done in terms of plot arcs, sometimes giving viewers that good feeling right before you pull the rug out from under them. I get that her only fixations were on Makoto and Sakai, but seriously, you cut the dude's head off and disemboweled the other chick, why stop there? When Stephen King wrote Carrie, he definitely had a bloodbath in mind. No pun intended. Of the various other characters we have in the series, there's Taisuke Sawanaga, which is considerably my least favorite character. He starts out seeming like your typical guy. You know, he's Makoto's friend. Makoto just kind of happens to hang out with him a lot, and they talk about girls, or, well, Taisuke talks about girls. And he just seems pretty dim-witted and, just kind of like normal person, normal guy. However, the turning point for this character, and pretty much every character, was the school festival. The school festival. The school festival.
誠は君を裏切ってる。俺桂さんが好きなんだよ。好きなんだ。桂さん好きだよ。
Nope, that didn't happen. I was just imagining things. I was probably just reading too much into it, and that probably really didn't happen. And even if it did, it's not like, I could really do anything about it. I mean, that's just crazy. I'm not really that kind of guy. Yeah.
I got some mad shit from my boy. Check it out. 5 bootlegs, all quality 18 nut shit. Yours for just 20. It's fucking steal, dog. Oh, I got something else to show you.
Did you like my street accent? Spent all night working on it. So this girl's feeling all sad because she can't be with Makoto in a real relationship, but at least she can sleep with him. These three just love orgies. This one I think I disliked the most, and yet I felt the most sorry for. She just let herself be Makoto's toy. Whenever he wasn't with some other girl, he was with her. It was her decision, but still, I just felt sorry for her.
Hikari, What are you doing with your life?
This girl leaves after a special goodbye. Sakai is all depressed because her boyfriend doesn't know how to keep his pants on. And while all that is going on, we have to watch this.
The lunatic is in my head.
I actually found that the show exposed a lot of gender biases. Like how girls assume that all guys think about is sex, when in reality all humans think about sex, and no, we don't think about it all the time, we just think about it a good deal of the time. I also noticed how Makoto turned into a slut, and everyone was either totally okay with it or just turned a blind eye. But if Makoto had been a girl, things would have been a lot different. There are a lot of varying opinions on the show. Some people loved it, some people hated it. You have to admit, if you love it, hate it, feel indifferent about it, will you ever forget about this anime after you've seen it? Look at all the tropes, look at all the memes, nice boat, the yandere thing, all that stuff. It's got something pretty good going for it if people are still talking about it today. You have people siding with Koto and siding with Sakai and battling it out on comment boards like some kind of virtual slice of life Bloods and Crips, similar to the people who either like Gene or Mugen. I'm more of a Gene guy myself. And then you have people siding with Makoto who believe he did nothing wrong, and face it, those are the trolls and retards of the internet. I like to shove them aside as those people who are better off never procreating. They wouldn't be reliable enough to pay child support anyways. For me, I think it sort of started out as a hate thing, and then I began to understand the intricacies a little better. I began to see that it was a well-crafted plot. The dialogue needed a lot of work, and the characters were still pretty two-dimensional, but the story was pretty good. It was unrealistic and realistic in various ways, and that actually makes for a good story. There were a few parts where I noticed some plot holes and inconsistencies based on characters and time placement and everything, but even a good story can have those. The soundtrack wasn't bad, however, I wondered if the producers were doing it on purpose when you had episodes that ended like this, and then episodes that began like this. But the final song, and I'm probably going to butcher the title here, so I'll just call it Kanashimi, the final song was fantastic. And I loved the ending. Just the drums and the atmosphere is just so ominous. If you're interested in reading about train wrecks, there are a lot of things you can learn about the other characters from reading the wiki page. I give this anime a cleaver and a pork chop souffle, because, yeah, a pig got chopped up pretty good in this. If you're interested, I would say give it a watch. I know I gave away some stuff here, but there's still a lot of stuff that I actually glossed over. If you like tragedies and increasing your blood pressure due to frustration while subserving agony, then the show won't disappoint. Well, that's pretty much all I have for this one. For those of you who are interested, I'm actually a light novel author. I mostly do anime, manga, and book reviews on the side. While I do have a lot of fun with it, I enjoy writing my own stories more. I've been working with my artist Kate on the first volume of my very first light novel series to ever go on the market. The title is AHEPI, and it's about a high school delinquent with the secret supernatural ability of being an empath. An empath being someone who can sense, read, and even manipulate the emotions of other people. It's somewhat similar to reading minds, except the person actually feels the emotions of another person, as opposed to reading minds. Thanks to the influence of a cute photographer girl, he begins using this ability of his to help solve crimes. If you're interested, you can read more about it on my Facebook page, which I posted the link in the description below. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter, you can do that too. We greatly appreciate any support we receive. I imagine this first volume is going to be released sometime before October. I'm going to post it on Amazon once I can figure out everything to do with that. My artist is out on vacation right now, however, she might be back by the time I posted this video. Things have been pretty up and down lately, so I'm just kind of hoping that we can finish up with the editing and last minute touches on it within this month or so, and then I should be able to get it posted after that. But for all of you viewing, I think you're really going to like what we have going with this. I finished volumes 1 and 2 back in January, and it took me forever to find a qualified artist like Kate, and ever since then we've been working hard on it for the past 3 months. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like, subscribe, and post in the comments. And let me know if there's an anime you want me to review next, and I'll do my best to get to it. Alright, so everybody be safe, enjoy life, and I'll see you guys next time.